A very troubling scene plays out inside a funeral home while a daughter says goodbye to her mother.
What she saw inside the casket haunts her. CBS News Chicago investigator Dave Savini has her story and the connection to other families impacted.
That's right, Erica and Joe. The man at the center has been accused of mishandling people's remains for years. We broke the story about the state trying to shut down a crematory he runs for mishandling bodies. Now we've uncovered more about him, including a professional license he altered to handle bodies.
She was well loved by everyone.
Rochelle Whitney Bay says her mother, Helen Mercer, dedicated her life to her family, community, and her job managing properties for the Chicago Housing Authority.
She wanted to see everybody happy.
Helen died in 2020 at the age of 82, but Rochelle says when the family went to say goodbye to their mother, what they saw in her casket turned a celebration of life into an unforgettable moment of shock and disgust.
Her eyes shouldn't be popping open. I mean, at a funeral,
We blurred cell phone video taken by the family.
And during your mother's wake, your mother's eyes opened up.
Yes.
You know I'm dissatisfied.
Wait, I didn't know you were dissatisfied until you came here today.
She and her family confronted the man in the green shirt, Clark Morgan, at McCullough Funeral Home's Ford Heights location, where he claimed to be the funeral director.
We tired of the BS. We tired of people dealing with us like dirt.
Don't you supposed to glue the eyes shut?
Not necessarily.
They say Helen had no makeup on and was in a state of decay.
It was hurtful. I couldn't stand there and look at it.
She then questioned Clark Morgan's credentials.
What's your title?
What do you mean?
What is your title?
I'm the owner.
You're the owner?
I'm the owner.
Are you a funeral director?
Yes.
He told her he's a funeral director, but we investigated that claim, found state records showing Morgan has never been a licensed funeral director.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, that's it. Enough said right there. You're a funeral director. That's enough said right there.
You got nothing to say?
If Clark Morgan sounds familiar, he should. For the last month, the CBS News Chicago investigators have been exposing his handling of bodies at the crematory he runs, Heights Crematory in Chicago Heights.
I'm Dave Savini from CBS. I want to show you some photos.
It's here where a whistleblower took these photos and sent them to CBS. Same photos were also sent to the Illinois State Comptroller Office, which regulates crematories, and they launched an investigation.
Should you be treating people's remains like this?
People's remains were not kept as they were supposed to be. Instead, they were in this trailer, faces and body parts exposed. One man was left here for an entire year.
There's bugs in the photos. They're in plastic. They're in sheets. Come on, Clark, talk to me.
It's not fair to the families. It's not fair to the deceased. And they've been profiting from it.
When Rochelle saw our investigation into Morgan, she contacted us about his handling of her mother.
He didn't have a license.
False representation.
Yes, false representation.
We could have talked. We could talk.
Helen Mercer's case wasn't the only time Morgan was accused of posing as a funeral director. We got this state record showing Morgan was caught removing 2 bodies from Northwestern Memorial Hospital in 2022 and 2023. In those cases, the state found him using an altered license and fined him $10,000.
Fraud?
Of course, fraud.
Rochelle says Morgan was supposed to cremate her mother after the funeral service.
You're not right.
That's not.
You are not right.
But by that time, she and her family had seen enough and fired him.
I stopped the cremation.
She instead hired a different funeral home to handle her mother's burial. She says her mom had to be embalmed again because it had not been done correctly.
You think this is appropriate?
And says the only glimmer of hope for justice came when she saw our stories.
And when I seen it on the news, we just was like, yeah, we got him like a mouse on a trap. But this time, the mouse is not going to get away.
Helen Mercer's family says there needs to be a criminal investigation. We've repeatedly reached out to Clark Morgan and have not heard back. We also reached out to McCullough Funeral Home where Morgan was using space, but they have not returned our call. Heights Crematory is shut down pending a hearing next week.
Well, Dave, you could see how much hope she had there would be repercussions now, but she complained about this years ago?
She did. Both her and her son sent letters to sent complaints to the state, IDFPR, and they said that they did get the complaint, but they mailed a letter back to them and they never heard back from this family. And the family's saying, well, we don't know why that happened, because we did reach out and we didn't get the letter. So I think it's being investigated now.
You mentioned he was fined. Are there any potential criminal charges?
Well, that's what they're saying, Joe. They would like to see something done. You know, fraud is fraud, and a slap on the wrist, a fine, that's a civil penalty. But at what point does this rise to the level of a criminal case?
Dave, thanks.